Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now we're going to talk about what is considered your vacation pay. In many places, in the European countries and also in the Gulf area, when you will work your contract for the year. But the year is actually more like a teacher schedule, in that in the States, the teachers work from September to June in most cases, and then you will have the summer off. The way that it's done in many of the European countries and many of the Gulf countries is almost exactly the same. And that is that you will work from this time to this time, and then you will have your summer off. Now, if you are of Asian descent, what I have seen so far is that you are afforded your round trip plane ticket home every 2 years. You go home every 2 years. You may be gone for a month or 2 months or like this, but you don't go home every year. Whereas for most of the Westerners, you can go home every year. They'll provide you the ticket every year. Along with that, it's supposed to be your summer package or your summer pay or your vacation pay. They have different names for it. So your vacation pay consists of your last 3 months on your contract. So for example, you work from September to June. In the end of June, you get the pay for June, July, and August. For June, July, and August. Okay. Now that will depend, or this situation can be different in some cases. Example: one company may say, we will give you June and July, and we will give you August in September if you're returning. In other words, they will hold that one because you're coming back. Some will say, no, we will give you all 3 months and then that's it. Some will say, as I have seen here in this particular place that I'm living in, they will say, okay, we will give you the summer pay, okay? But if you're late, if you've been late for any time, or you have been absent for any day during your contract period, they also deduct that from your summer pay. I have not seen it. It didn't happen to me, and I did miss a day or two, but I have heard that it has happened to other people. One thing that you have to make sure, you have to ask these kinds of questions. I can't stress that enough. Many of us in the States in particular, we are accustomed to a reasonable amount of struggle. So we don't mind living in an apartment that's a little small, but we're saving some money and we're able to do some things and so forth. Or, working a little bit longer hours, but we're, maybe trying to make some extra money because there's something that we want to buy or vacation that we want to go on or something like this. But that takes a different hue, a different color in this region. And we'll talk about the housing situation on the next clip. But you want to make sure that your summer pay is explained very carefully. Now, understand something. If you go back to the States, or you go back to your country of origin with your summer pay, don't spend all of your summer pay before you return, because your summer pay only covered June, July, and August. You will start back to work in September, but you will not have any money until the end of September. So in actuality, that 3 months they give you has to last sometimes almost 4 months. So you don't want to blow through all of the money, especially if you live in the Gulf countries where the currency is higher. For example, if you live in Kuwait. If you live in Kuwait, the currency at this time is $3.47 to the dinar. So for every 100 dinar you make here in Kuwait, it's equal to $347. So you can imagine if you had about maybe 2,000 or 2,500 dinar, you can have a really nice summer, okay? But you don't want to exhaust all of your money. Spend very slowly, spend methodically, and make sure that you space yourself out so that when you come back, you're not waiting, and living payday to payday or paycheck to paycheck when you come back. You don't want those kinds of situations because things are very, very busy when you first return to work, especially if you're a teacher that works in the school. Everything is very busy. Children are coming back in for retests. People are coming back for administration, for administrative duties. Some teachers have not yet returned back from their countries due to visa problems or a myriad of different things. So you may have to fill in for this teacher, fill in for that teacher. You have to decorate classrooms. You have to do a lot of things. So you don't want that on your mind, and the fact that you've only got 10 KD left or 10 dinar left. Okay, so save some of your money, space some of your money. Also, figure out what you're going to do in regards to your apartment. If you're living in housing and the employer is paying the housing, make sure that you clarify with the employer, what happens to my apartment when I go? And he or she may say to you, oh, of course, I mean, you're still in the apartment, you're just going on vacation. But make sure you ask that question, because it may be that the person who's paying the bill, that is the school, the employer, maybe he made some type of contact with the Harris. The Harris is like the superintendent of the building, is the super, okay? Even though he really doesn't do a whole lot other than just collect rent. Really doesn't really do anything other than collect rent. And his idea of fixing something is, first let me come and look at it. Then after I come and look at it, then I'll go and get somebody who'll fix it, and then I'll let you know when we'll come. That's the job of the Harris, and to collect rent. So make sure, he may have talked with the Harris and said, listen, you can go ahead and end his contract or end her contract for the apartment, because he's not going to stay, he's going home, and maybe he won't come back to this particular place. So now the landlord or the landlord will expect you to have moved out by then. So make sure that you clarify that with the landlord, the Harris, or with the school. Okay, and I say that because some of the apartments are fully furnished. So all you have to do is just pack up your clothes and your possessions and leave. So just make sure that your apartment will be there when you come back. Make sure that anything that needs to be taken care of in the way of maintenance is taken care of before you go. You don't want the same leaky faucet, when you left, to still be leaking when you come back. Okay, because again, things are going to be very, very busy, and you're not going to have enough time, or you're not going to want to have the time to worry about things like that. So just make sure that those things are taken care of before you go. If you live in the Gulf area, you're going to encounter a lot of dust. So make sure that your electrical items are covered in some kind of way. That is, your VCRs, the TVs, they have these vents in the back, DVD players, computers, things like this, and the exhaust fans. There are exhaust fans in the bathrooms and in the kitchens. And they do serve a great benefit in regards to getting those smells out of your kitchen and so forth, and out the bathroom and what have you. But when the winds do pick up, and it's not very windy in this area per se, but there are times when the winds do pick up and they carry a lot of dust with them. We live in the desert, you can't avoid the dust. So you may want to cover those fans, the opening to the fans, with some type of plastic bag or something like that. Maybe drape a sheet over your furniture and things like that, and over your electrical appliances, so that dust and that sand is very abrasive on those electric parts. So make sure it doesn't get on those parts. And if you have some type of air freshener or some type of Renew-It or some kind of plug-in something, make sure that you put those things out a lot in your home, because when the heat comes and there's no AC running, you don't want to leave the AC running for 2 months. This is just wasteful. So you don't want that smell that comes when things begin to get hot. The heat brings out smells. So you want a nice, pleasant smell when you open your door. Okay, so these are just some basic things that you want to make sure you cover. Make sure you're coming back in enough time. I would suggest that you come back in enough time from your vacation where you don't have to rush to do anything. So maybe come back about 2 weeks before it's time for you to start, so that you can get reaccustomed to the environment and what's going on, and maybe some light housekeeping or whatever the case may be. So just make sure that those things are taken care of. This is a pretty quicker segment, so we'll end there.